Hi everyone, I'm Sam. Let's play some daily games. Today is December 28th, 2025, Sunday. And unfortunately, we are not going to start with Wordle solve, but the answer's already done. So what happened was that I was busy out the whole day, and I knew that I wasn't going to make it in time before midnight to record and properly solve. So I actually solved in the car, but I'm going to discuss with you my answers. So what I did for today's Wordle is strip, hutch, aloft, and then abbot. So after I did strip, I was like, oh god, just getting the T, it's not great. I don't know why I felt inspired to do hutch, and I know people are gonna say why the double H's, but I was like, hey, you never know, maybe something could come out of it, like eliminating the H in either direction. Maybe it could be a good one. I don't know. That's what I went with. And then I thought, okay, wait, with the T's not here and here, sounds like I think the T could be at the end. So I was like, oh wait, aloft. It sounds like a really good guess. So I was like, okay, I feel good about aloft. I felt very confident about aloft. Did that, saw the A, and I was like, and then the gray and the yellow and so on. And I was like, okay, what could this word be now? So the O, it can't be an A-O, so I knew like the O had to be here, but I was like, what's gonna fill in this bit? And I was like, okay, abbot, like uh someone who lives in an abbey. I think that's what an abbot is, like to do with like monkhood or something. Oh, okay, so the superior of a monastery for men. So like the head monk, I suppose one could say. But yeah, interesting word. Okay, so let's see what Calco says. So I did strip first. Hold on, let's put that in here. Okay, so strip gave me 205 probable answers. So not the best first guess, but the T is in the word somewhere, so that should help me. The next best guess would be latte or leaned, taunt, etc. Those would be good ones. Although this one still has a double T, so I don't know. But I did hutch, so that was something. But yeah, I suppose knowing where the T is early on will probably help me a lot more. Okay, so let's go to hutch as my next guess. I know that one wasn't a great one, but it just felt like it. So yeah, I narrowed it down to 63 probable answers, with leaned being the best possible guess, or like talon. Tolan is not a common word, but yeah, leaned and talon are common words. Okay, then I did aloft. Let's see. From 63 down, narrowed down to, oh, so after aloft, so aloft is actually a pretty good third guess there. I mean, I don't know if there were any other words that probably. I mean, there were many other words I could have thought of, but I just went with aloft, and that was actually quite good. So even though I had a not great first two guesses, that third guess really helped me a lot to narrow it down to the only answer being abbot. And then one unlikely possibility would be atbot. Yeah, that one is. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Atbot. Yeah, I wonder if Abby has been done before. It has. Okay, so it took nearly 4 years actually for Abby's sister word, you can say that, related word abbot, to be used. Okay, let's see if aloft has been done before. It has, February 5th, also 2022. Wow, that was pretty early on. What about hutch? Hutch, sorry. Also 2022. So all these words, besides strip and abbot, of course, have been done before in 2022. Okay, so I didn't know that. I thought aloft was so smart. What a good word to think of. I don't know who would have thought of that. So I was like, patting myself on the back before even seeing the answer, but it was abbot. But still, even though it's not aloft, it did really come and give that useful, crucial A and O in the word, and that helped me figure it out that it was abbot. All right, let's look at connections. My answer. Ooh, my God. Okay, thank goodness I loaded the page before because it's already midnight, like 12:01, so it should be the next day's puzzle. But thankfully, I had reloaded the page. We can still see the puzzle, so thank goodness. If I refresh, I know it's going to change to the next day's puzzle, December 29th. Okay, so I solved it. No mistakes. Purple, green, yellow, blue. So not really a reverse. But yeah, it took me a little while. I wanted to do the stationary, static, still, and constant first, but I wasn't like super confident about this group being the answer. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna lock that in. Let's look at other things first. And I was like, dusky. What could this be? Anything to do with dusk in the front, but I didn't see what it could be. And then I was looking at other things, and then I was like, Soxer. Well, what does that mean, Soxer? Like, I know there's like, red socks, that kind of thing, and white socks, but other than that, I don't know what it could be, or it could be the sound socks, and then I thought of like Soxer, it kind of sounds like Boxer, which is a dog breed, and then Dusky is like Husky, but with the letter change, and then I started to look for other dog breeds with the letter change, and then I saw Noodle, which is Poodle, and then Perrier, which is Terrier, with the first letter change, so that's when I locked that in, and locked this one in, and then it took me a little while more, because I was very confused, I was quite thrown off by this Paul word, I was like, is it are we doing like musicians or just like famous people's names, like Paul? Because PAWL sounds like the name PAUL, and I was like, are the others names? But then I was like, no, this box and the tube and all that, they're not names. They're just things, as far as I can tell. So I was like, okay, so maybe Paul is something else. I don't know what. So I was like, okay, let's try this. And I suddenly saw envelope and mailer, which things you can send by post. And I was like, okay, wait, you can send things by post in a box. And then I was like, what do I put for the fourth one? The others didn't seem to match, and I don't know what Paul is. So I was like, okay, the safest one would be tube. So I tried tube, and I was right. And then the answer was continuous for shipping, which is kind of what I thought of, which is like things, ways in which you can send things by post. So that's kind of what I was thinking of. So I think that sort of counts as the answer. Mechanical watch wise, this is the one I couldn't guess. I just entered it, submitted it, but I didn't know what it was. I figured when I got to this group last and I knew that I had the answer, I was like, okay, they seem to be parts of something, but I couldn't tell you what it was. I thought something, I don't know, but yeah, so I don't know actually what a PAWL, PAWL is. So it's my first time hearing this. So let's see, what part of the watch is it? Because I have no idea. It's a pivoted tongue or sliding bolt on one part of the machine and is adapted to fall into notches or interdental spaces. On another part, it has to permit motion in only one direction. I still don't really get what it is, but maybe there's a picture of it. Part. Let's say watch. You can see. No, sorry. I shouldn't go to shop. I should go to salvage. I guess this thing is a Paul lever. Okay. So is there a picture of this one? Okay, let's take a look at this one. Let's visit this page. This is in the Britannica. You can enlarge that. Zoom in. Okay, pretty good. Okay, so Paul finger, this one. So it's like a lever of some kind. The Paul lever that it moves these little gears and things. Okay, so way beyond. I don't know how many people know this one unless they've like for some reason studied watches. But I know gear and spring is in a watch. Ratchet. I didn't know it was in a watch, but it sounds like it could be. And Paul's just completely new to me, so that was a tough one. Were there other other like red herring groups that I missed? Possibly, but I luckily didn't know them or just didn't see them. So either way, I survived without any mistakes, even though I didn't know like Paul and that stuff. The purple is an interesting one. It's a good old fashioned changing letter kind of thing. I think this purple is somewhat tricky. Yeah, we haven't had a truly tricky purple in a little while, but I think this purple is kind of tricky. Although the soccer one should be a giveaway that it's something else going on here, because like what else could it mean, right? Although other things could be things, but I don't know. I felt it was still okay, somewhat challenging purple, even though the soccer does reveal all when you really put some thought into it. Okay, let's move on to the last game for today, which is the Alice Mini Crossword, and that one good thing, the new puzzle for the next day doesn't really come that quickly, so I can definitely play it December 28th, even though it is now 5 past midnight in Malaysia. So this is the puzzle by Elizabeth Sikorsky. Let's scroll one across some early TVs. I don't know. One down. Kenyan heavyweight. Some kind of person's name? I don't know. 2 down. Spot of tea in Surrey. 3 down. Increase. Could be raise. 4 down. Catch sight of. Peep. 5 down. Blank Woven Kingdom. Novel by Tahere Mafi. Never heard of it. 5 across. Wallop. Smack, spank, something like that maybe. 6 across, Kenyan heavyweight. Again, don't know what this one is. 7 across, advice. Ooh, advice. I feel like input. I don't know about that. Increase. Because I think it's RAISE. What's the S gonna be here? Advice. I'm not sure. 8 across, shower bar. I suppose it's soap. Hopefully that's right. Kingdom. Kenyan heavyweight. Spot of tea in Surrey. Cuppa. Okay. 3 down. Increase. Like go up or we're not sure. 4 down. Catch sight of. So no. 4 across. Some early TVs. I guess it has to end in an S, most probably, but some early TVs. LCDs? Are they early TVs? No. LCD TVs. I think they could be. CDs. Increase. But then if this is a D, what's that? It feels weird. Catch sight of. Catch sight of. Scene? Could be. Or spot. Catch sight of. You spot. Maybe. I could try that. I don't think it's LCDs, but let's just put it in for now. Wallop. Thump. Okay. Advice. Input. So I was right about that. Okay, so this is not LCDs. It looks weird. Okay, hidden heavyweight. It sounds like a rhino, so that's an animal. Okay. Another heavyweight is a hippo. Alright, I like this. And then amp up. Nice. 1 minute and 22 seconds. Even though I was really worried because, like, like most of the time I was like, up until like clue 7 across. Hold on. I suddenly have to cough. Let me just pause the video for a second here. Alright guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to just, my throat suddenly itched up a storm, so I had to pause the recording so that you wouldn't be bothered by the coughing and the sudden urge to drink water. So the good thing I have a water bottle right next to me so that I can get it. So yeah, I was really worried at first because I was like, okay, it's not looking great. I was like up until 7 across, or and I was like, I was getting nothing here, and I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do? I mean, like, do I have to use some reviews? But thankfully, like, okay, we sometimes you just need a foothold, right? So 8 across was that foothold. Shower bar, what kind of bar to use in the shower? Not like a literal bar like to hang your towel or curtain rod or something like that, but literal bar is the bar of soap. So that helped me get that foothold of some letters in there, and then that kind of did. And then when I saw 2 down, spot of tea in Surrey's, and a Surrey's like in England, so spot of tea they call that a cuppa, which I forgot. That's what they call it. I was like, so I was confused about that, but until I saw the A, and I was like, light bulb went off in my head, figured it out. Okay. And then I go down with a 4 down, catch sight off. I was thinking if this was like present tense or maybe past tense, but catch sight off seemed present tense. So I was like, okay, spot, you spot someone, something. And that helped me here. I thought this was LCDs because I couldn't think of what early TVs were, but I was like, LCDs are not old. They're still considered relatively modern. So I was like, I don't think it's LCDs. But I didn't know what else to put, so that's why I tried it. It seemed silly now, but at the time I really didn't know what to put. Pipe across, wallop, to thump, so like to smack, to kind of like beat up, I guess. 7 across, advice, input. You want to know your thoughts. Can you give me any advice on what I should do? 5 down, blank, Woven Kingdom novel by Tahir Mafi. Never read this novel, but apparently it's called This Woven Kingdom, so that's very, very new tribute to me. 3 down, increase, amp up, yeah, sort of raise like volume or something, or the intensity, something. 1 down, Kenyan heavyweight. I thought this was like an actual, like a boxer, like a person, and then I was like, I don't know any Kenyan boxer name, so that was tough. I didn't think of like animals, like heavy animals, right? Large animals, like rhino in this sense. And then 6 across, another Kenyan heavyweight is a hippo, which I didn't know. Kenya had both of those, but since they do have lots of wildlife. And then I think the toughest one I still don't really get is the RCAs. I don't know what they stand for. They do sound vaguely familiar, but I don't really know. So let's see, RCA. What that is? Well, it is a corporation. Maybe it's TVs under that. Maybe it's a brand. Radio Corporation of America was a major American company. So maybe it's the brand of TVs. Like as opposed to now we have Samsung's, LG TVs, etc. So those early TVs were the RCA brand. Maybe that's what that means instead of like a type of TV, but more rather the TV brand. You can sign off in the comments if that's right, if my interpretation is correct. But yeah, that one was the one that I didn't know about. That was tough. Kappa's slang language thing. Yep. And hippo and rhino is just understanding the clues, I guess. So toughest critter that's probably is one across, I would say. All right, so let's move on to the comments from yesterday's video, December 27th. Edward did tread Scion Whelm. Huh, we matched with Whelm. Okay, that is so interesting. I don't know how we thought of that both. And then hatch and batch. Okay, so 0 score for the correct answer. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to understand, why the bot does what it does. 2 turns remaining. You said patch batch and one it did not catch. Oh, yeah. That's weird though. They still give you a skill that you chose even though you chose the right answer. Maybe because you just went for luck rather than really using your eval. Perhaps maybe that's why they did that. You're hoping I would use Whelm as an eval word, even though that doesn't really test for hatch. Yeah, well, that's what happened, isn't it? I realized and I was like, shoot, I should have tested for H in the front so that I could see that it was at least H, but I was then caught up into like what letters I could, no, I mean, what word I could do with the letters that I wanted to test. Most of them, I know I couldn't do all of them. So that's why I had to sacrifice the B, but I really regret not testing the B early on instead of doing the H. I should have left the H out, I think. Probably. But yeah. Yeah, wombs. Yeah, I should have done that. I think I briefly considered that, but I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Never mind. Let's do the H instead. See if we can rule out H. But I forgot with the H at the end anyway. That H in the second spot is not really going to help me at all. Uh, yeah. I mean, I knew that connect really couldn't really be. I mean, like it's not a great eval word. It's just a word that I thought might be the answer, and so I went for it. I know it wouldn't be. It's not. It's not a good eval word. That. But yeah, connections difficulty 3 out of 5 yesterday. That was a confusing one. No, I didn't. I didn't see the rainbow herring. Business calling credit report. They all end in card. Whoa! I totally did not see that. Business. Yeah, that actually is a good category. I did not see that at all. Sometimes it works in my favor when I don't see certain things I should, maybe I should be seeing. It's interesting how brains work, right? But yes, it seems that popular mistake made, which I also briefly considered, but I did not fall for, was report in the attribute connections group. So yeah, that's what I was like. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say report fits in there, but I also was like iffy on that, and I was thinking, well, if I'm ever iffy, it's best if I don't put it in because it's most probably a red herring if I feel iffy about something. So yeah, and when you saw Villager in the Crowd, you thought it was to do with the Sims type of game, or like some kind of video game. Yeah, I mean the name, okay, this sort of implies some kind of like a cozy game kind of vibes, right? Maybe, yeah, it could be, but I never saw it that way. But interesting that you were worried that it could be something to do with that, but luckily it wasn't. Okay, so let's see here. All right. Slant tater batch. That's what Glacier Breeze did. Oh, it's pretty good. Good third guess. Yeah, I barely survived, but the skin of my teeth, that ATCH trap. So I'm really glad that even though I made a couple of mistakes, I still managed to survive, so that I would learn this painful lesson and not and not lose my streak. But I was this so close. Yes, but I'm glad you got a 3. At least you did very, very well. Yeah, always be cautious of A and T assessment. That's true. A and T, just so many traps, isn't it? I hate that. Yeah, T is such a common letter. Ugh, an amount of traps. Oy, oy, but your advice is to basically identify which type of units are possible. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, isn't it? To rely on what is what the trap most probably is. Ugh, I know, right? Ugh. So it was not, yeah, it was not a very smart solve. I have to say, it really wasn't. So a lot of regrets, but hopefully, things to learn. Sometimes just I solve them without thinking too much, but I probably should. You say it's not an exciting solve, but I still think a 3 is great. Taters, a good second guess when you've got T and A, so I like that. Even though I know it's still the the crappy thing there, but you were worried about possibly ATER, like the ER and double T kind of trap. So sometimes that's the thing. There's so many possible traps that you really kind of have to pick your poison and which one you're going to go with and try. I suppose so. It's kind of what it is. Average guess is 4.0 failure rate in 2%. That's right. Yeah, that is a pretty high failure rate. Okay, so a lot of people, yeah, they wanted to get us with that trap, and I almost was in that percentage, and I was very lucky to avoid that. I don't know how many people got 6, but it could be quite high as well. Does the Wordle bot tell you how many people got like took 6 tries to get the answer like me? Because then a lot of us would have like been sweating bullets, I suppose. Dugong did Lance, Becky, and Batch. What is Beck? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Becky, what's that? Okay, so he said, very lucky to get a 3, but you're going to win unlike the bot. It thought March was the best second guess, but that would have left. Yeah, bot sometimes weird choices in terms of their so-called best guesses. But mm, you didn't know what Becky means. Come on. It's funny, you actually thought of like just trying something and seeing if that word would do. Yeah, maybe I should do that instead of like thinking of words I know. And I should just go with like, okay, I want this word to be a good eval word. Let's try and see if this word exists. And I should probably do that instead of thinking of like what word is real and then going for that. But yeah, you found a good one. It's a slang for tobacco. Becky. Oh my god, my Becky. I don't know. I don't like it, but I can see why it's a slang word. Yeah, roist also good one that you discovered. Roust. may have heard of roused. I know like rouse, rousc, but I didn't know roused. So that is an interesting one. I don't know if I'll remember it. We're gonna have to try it, but very interesting. Yes, my Wordle was so dramatic, right? It was so many emotions for me at the same time. Like, would I make it? Would I not? I don't know, And I really thought that, oh God, I have to sit through another like broken streak. That's what I thought was gonna happen, and I was just so lucky that you know I still had a bit of luck left in me to survive it. So that was really, really great. If I want Kakao not to use exotic words in the best settings. Oh, interesting. But I see. Okay, so I could also edit that setting in Calco. Didn't know that. But I guess it's fun to learn the exotic words, even though I don't think I'll ever use those to guess. But it's fun to see what they what they come up with. I think. ST3435. Oh no! I'm so sorry to hear your Wordle streak is over. Fouled back 4 pitches in the final swing and a missed. Ooh, sports metaphor. A little bit over my head, but I think I get what you mean. Uh, yeah, you really tried something, but then it was like you're giving it your all and then you missed. Just like me, I gave it my all, but I was lucky that I still scraped by just barely. So many XATCH words indeed, and you missed one. But hey, yeah, at least your percentage score, your win score is still 99%. That's incredible. I think mine is at, I don't remember. Was it 96? No. Yeah, possibly still at 99 too. I can't remember. But my connections is 96% success rate, I think. Yeah, but where do I think I'm still at 99 or maybe 98. I don't remember. But yeah, I've lost a couple of times now. But yeah, still. And thanks, congratulations on the nail biter. Yes, I I'm not a nail biter person, but I definitely felt like I would start nail biting because of how stressful I felt toward the end, like wondering, oh God, will I make it? So I'm glad you all were here for the journey that was one to take. And the funny thing was that a few days ago I was like you guys were saying I'm on a hot streak or whatever, and I agreed. I was like, yeah, it was a hot streak. And then yesterday, Wordle comes and humbles me. I mean, it's like they have to remind me, that any day you can fall. Any person can fall. Actually, no, not every person can fall. Most people are really good Wordle solvers, and they don't really lose their streak at all. Some people haven't lost their streak yet to date. They might have close calls, but they haven't lost. But I've lost a couple of times, so I shouldn't be one to be so arrogant as to think that it couldn't happen to me. And yeah, there we go. All right, let me know how you did for today's Wordle connections and Eleanor's mini crossword if you play that one. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.